Good morning, Southwest Florida, and welcome to the American Tradesman Show. I'm Anthony with the American Tradesman Show with my partner Juan Silva from American Electrical and Brian Prevett from Prevett Plumbing and his brother Gerald Prevett from Prevett Plumbing. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and I want to welcome everyone. This is the day that my daughter gets married. This is the day I've been waiting for probably 100 years. Maybe not. Maybe 2 months. My wife is probably saying right now we want this over. But I want to welcome into my family Logan Lipcott to marry my daughter, Monique Carlone. Thank you for taking care of her, and congratulations to both of you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So good morning, everyone. I want to talk to you today about Veterans Day. So I want you guys to see a veteran. You thank them every day. That's part of what we're about. Some of the people that are on the show have veterans in the family. Gerald and Brian, I know your fathers were, and I don't know if it was your uncles or fathers.
Yeah, uncle and father.
Mother?
No, just uncles and fathers. Got
Uncles
three,
and fathers?
Yeah, three uncles and a father that was in the service.
Three of them?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank all the veterans out there. I mean, we have to thank all of them on this day of November 11th for the sacrifice and the ones that served for this country. This is a great country to be in. So it gives you the opportunity to make something of yourself. Right, Juan?
Yes, sir.
That's part of all this. Today, I just wanted to thank the veterans. Marine Corps birthdays coming up, and my anniversary's the day after Veterans Day. So this year, from now on, I'm going to celebrate my daughter being married on November 9th. On November 10th, that's Marine Corps birthday. November 11th is the Veterans Day, and my anniversary is November 12th. So I'm going to have 4 days of craziness probably for the rest of my life.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I'm hoping my youngest daughter doesn't get married on the 13th or something. So, so we're going to get back to what the show is about. The show is about small companies like Brian Prevett and his brother Gerald from Prevett Plumbing and Juan Silva from American Electrical and Johnny Lopez from Semper Fi AC. This show is about the small guys and some of the things they offer and some of the things that you may not know, like permits, like we talked about in the past, and when do you get a permit, and when should I pull a contractor? The other day on Facebook, I seen somebody asking for a handyman, and can somebody put in 3 faucets? Gerald, I got to ask you this question: Can a handyman put in 3 faucets?
Definitely cannot.
He cannot. He has to have a license. Remember that license? What's your license number again?
CFC 1426890.
That's a plumbing license, CFC. And Juan, tell them what your license number is.
That's EC 0001534.
These are numbers that you can go to that I had explained last week on sunbiz.com about plugging in a number or name of the company that you're ready to hire so that you can find out what the qualifications of those guys are. I preach this every week that I understand it's cheaper to hire. Some people may not know a handyman is only licensed for certain things. If you go to the website on Brian Prevett's website, he's posted on his website and on our website at American Electrical what really a handyman is able to do. In the electrical world, he can only put in ceiling fan blades. So that means he can only take down ceiling fan blades and then put ceiling fan blades back up. A handyman. So I want the audience to understand, I think if you really ask any of the contractors you're working for the license and the insurance, it's part of helping yourself not get hurt. I mean, I've seen over the last 30 years in this town where people take deposits on people's jobs and then they don't come back, or maybe they don't even finish the job. And I've seen a lot of contractors that ain't even licensed, even in a handyman, never mind in a contractor. Is that correct in saying it, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, most of the time that we show up is either A, it's a homeowner pulling a permit by themselves as an owner-builder, right, Gerald? Yep. Or B, the homeowner has a contractor that they hired that they want to manage us. Sometimes I have my own problems with that because it's not a contractor they hired, but more of a manager to oversee us. And that is illegal also. So I think each week I'm going to keep putting things on our show to tell you to be careful who you hire and make sure who you hire. Sunbiz.com is an easy way to find out what the license of that contractor that's trying to sell you the goods. And it's a protection for you. I myself have to use it on a daily basis as a contractor. I use it for my business, and I make sure that every person that writes a check, right, Juan, has to have license, insurance, W-9s. I mean, it's part of being in business, right? If I subcontract as a general contractor, I want to make sure that that subcontractor is licensed. That's the reason why I use Semperfi AC, the reason why I use American Electric and Brian from Prevent Plumbing. These are important things from a homeowner standpoint. Don't go to a website and then hire a guy that's going to build you a home. I mean, and he can only paint houses. Go to sunbiz.com and take a look at what's on there for that person and ask that person, do you have a license? When they say yes, you should ask them for a copy of the license number. You should ask them for a copy of their registration with the county.
Second thing, let me chime in really quick, is you want to make sure they're still active.
That's true. I mean, they could be a person that's been out of business for 2 years. Yep. And we see that all the time. Again, I'm just forcing the issue to make all the audience understand that I understand people who want a better price or a cheaper price, but for us contractors and us subcontractors, it's a very, very tough world when we have to fight up against a handyman in a business that, they shouldn't be in unless they take the state license, right, Brian?
Right.
They get the insurance. Is that correct? I mean, Gerald, you're an insurance pro. You're in that office all the time. You ask to get your insurance all the time, right?
Yep. We have to provide a copy of our insurance to every community, every new contractor we work with. We have to provide them full access to workman's comp certificates, to our insurance for general liability, and anything else, most times a W-9. So, I mean, this is something that's pertinent to every building and every contractor we work with.
Standard practice.
It's standard practice.
I think if people are doing like a larger project, maybe a remodel on their house, they should also verify that the person with the license that's insured is the actual person that qualifies the company.
True.
Because we just had this situation downtown where we took over a job because the plumber that was on record was from out of town, and they were actually using someone else's license, and they weren't even qualified to use it.
And most people don't recognize that just because a person says they're licensed in the state of Florida doesn't mean they're licensed in Collier County or Lee County. You have to register your license with the county that you're working for. So if a guy says, yeah, I'm licensed in Dade County or in Broward County or any other county other than Collier or Lee, and he's working there, he's not registered in the county, period. That's the end of the discussion. So I know for a fact if a guy is pulling a permit or if he's even managing a job, make sure he's licensed right here in the county. Again, it's not hard to find that out through sunbiz.com. The county websites even have helpful hints that you can find things on contractors. I would suggest if you're manning your own project or going to start your own project, this is a very, 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 very tough town. And if you don't do the things you're supposed to, and if you don't pull permits and do the things you're supposed to, you run the risk. And I say that to all of us, right? We run a risk, even ourselves, if we don't want to pull a permit, which happens. A lot of guys get into a situation where telling Brian, oh, I don't need a permit, right? And then I get to a meeting and a woman goes, oh, somebody else told me I didn't need a permit. Well, in Collier County and Lee County, if you pull out, am I right in saying this, the kitchens and bath countertops,
Yeah, you're going to need a permit,
you're going to need a permit.
period.
And here's the best part of it. You're going to need a permit for who? For the plumber
Plumber, electrician.
and the guy that's doing those cabinets, the contractor.
And if it's a condo, you're going to need fire permit,
That's right.
the whole nine yards.
Now it becomes up to code. And Juan, what's the first thing they ask for? Arc fault breakers, GFI receptacles, smoke detectors. Once we get into a high rise or a condo, we have to bring it up even to more codes from that.
Yeah.
And the other part that people got to recognize is what we're talking about, kitchens and bath. It doesn't take much to get a permit as a contractor. I myself can tell you it doesn't take much to get a demolition permit first, then get the regular permit for the kitchen remodel. But if you don't have a licensed plumber and a licensed electrician on that permit with the guy that's changing out cabinets, you're going to have a problem. And from a real estate standpoint, we found in the last 4 or 5 months doing real estate inspections that if the kitchen has been changed out and there's been no permits pulled, most likely the buyer or the seller even is going to be in a major problem trying to get rid of it.
Right. They're either going to walk away from the deal or they're going to use it as a negotiation tool
Right.
to lower the price.
But then that puts the homeowner that just buys it back in the same situation. So I would say if I was part of this audience and listening to what we're talking about from a permitting and a legal aspects, don't hesitate to ask the guy that says he's going to change your kitchen out and bathrooms and your floors and he's not going to pull a permit. Don't do that to yourself. Put yourself in protection. I will say that from all of us on this board, we are the people that are going to tell you to pull a permit no matter what. And it's part of what you need to do to protect yourself and your home. And if you're in a condo or a high rise or any type of multifamily, the people around you, even an electrical fire. I can tell you in a condo, a whole half of a condo burnt because it was Christmas time, which is what we're coming up to, right? Yeah. And plugged into a few outlets and left them on there, and it melted the receptacle. That's if I remember, it was all the way around the handrails on these condos, and it burned up the receptacles. And as we're talking about Christmas time, Juan, I wanted to bring up Christmas time because of receptacles and GFIs tripping and arc faults and some of the things that we've had in the past gone through with receptacles, right? So Juan, I've sent you even on some service calls too. I mean, I know you've been on some service calls when this has happened. A lot of extension cords are used through Christmas and holidays that are coming up right now, Thanksgiving. So a lot of people are using these 3 ways, 4 ways, 6 ways, 14 way, 20 way. Is that right?
Yeah, by the time you add them all up, you have about a 56 way, you know. And they all
You've been on one of those 56 ways?
It's the 3-way. And that's it.
Yeah, so you got to be careful because what ends up happening, you plug into one receptacle and you have a 56 way by the time you're at the end of it, you know, and then 1,000 feet of a Christmas lighting. Well, that's going to put a lot of strain on all of those cords, all of those connections, and the receptacle itself that you're getting power from. You got to keep in mind a standard residential home receptacle that you have in your bedroom, you have in your hallways are rated for 15 amps. Well, you string along these many feet of wire and many feet of Christmas lights. Well, that adds up the resistance and that adds up the amperage, and on top of that, on whatever you have on that circuit. And that just puts a lot of strain, and it's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for fire.
Yeah, one of the things you said, I give people an analogy of a plumber. Brian, how do you like this one? It's a plumbing analogy with a piece of pipe. If I had a piece of pipe, 1/2 inch, I could only put, right, Gerald, a certain amount of water through that 1/2 inch pipe, right?
Correct.
I can't put any more than whatever the 1/2 inch can handle, right? So the analogy in the electrical world, just so we're all in the same thing, is if you take an extension cord and you stretch that cord way out at that 1/2 inch pipe, you can only put so much power through that little 1/2 inch cord, just like that little 1/2 inch PVC. And that's a part that people don't recognize.
You're exactly right. Your typical cord that you're going to buy at, a big box store, Walmart, whatever the case may be, it's going to be 16 gauge. And that's not going to be able to withstand many amps of power. So you want to be wise when you run your string of lights. You want to tap out of multiple receptacles,
Short distance, too.
Short distances, exactly.
Voltage drop is what in electrical world we call it, and most people don't understand what voltage drop is, right, Juan?
Voltage drop, and when you have voltage drop and you string along many cords of wire, that actually causes resistance as well, which causes, heat and amperage.
Yeah, the funny thing is that first things around Christmas time, everybody now says, "Oh, I got LED lights. I got no problems with it." Yeah, and then they run 1,000 feet over it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
LED or incandescent. I don't, if you don't know, incandescent was older style Christmas lighting, and the LED was the newer style versions that we have, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the Christmas lighting now is LED, but most people string these lights out all over the place, and that's one of the things that we want you to be concerned about. Don't take out those GFI receptacles, right, Juan?
No, don't take those out.
Put it in a regular receptacle because why? Because it's just tripping the receptacle.
Don't string them along. Don't run them around on your front lawn and put Ziploc bags wrapping around the cord ends and duct tape and whatnot to try to seal them from the sprinklers. All that does is hold water and trips your GFIs and causes more issues after that.
Yeah, Brian, you know about that, right? You're a Christmas. I mean, you love Christmas.
Yeah, I duct tape it to make it waterproof.
That's it. I mean, put a little fast tape around it, AC face tab. Gerald, it's a good thing you're the precise one over there, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, Gerald, one of the things you talked about to me before was about this thermal imaging, and that was part of the things you talked about
Yes.
for thermal imaging.
Yeah, we use thermal imaging and leak detection. So a lot of times when we are doing leak detection for multi-unit facilities or even inside of a home, rather than be overly intrusive into the drywall and cut holes everywhere, we can use thermal imaging, and that will tell us usually when you have a water issue where the water's coming out, because it will change the temperature inside the wall, whether it be hot or cold, depending on which water you use, and it will allow you to determine exactly where you're having that water leak at. And so we can use thermal imaging, and like I said, that's also can be used in the electrical world. Same. You guys have overheated breakers.
Even those extension cords from Christmas. I mean,
Yeah.
those small skinny cords got to be glowing in the dark now,
Yeah,
right?
so you can use thermal imaging for that, and we use it quite a bit. When we're trying to do leak detection, because last thing you want to do is start cutting holes and all over people's units. That just is very unprofessional. Depending on who that person is, they may not think you're.
That's almost like pinpointing the call, though, right? I mean, if you take that thermal imaging care, I mean, you could find pinhole right on the hole, right? I mean, that's almost in the electrical world, we have enough problems trying to break in the wire, right, Juan?
Oh yeah, definitely. And in the electrical world, like Gerald said, we do use thermal imaging for that. One of the best cases I can say is when we're running into a multifamily home where we did have a 3-phase breaker that was causing issues and shutting down a building, and going back into trying to find the issue out using thermal imaging, we saw that one of the lugs on the breaker was bad. It was overheating, and that was causing the breaker to trip.
Yeah, that's common on any type of buildings. A lot of times that's part due to maintenance. I mean, if you don't tighten lugs down at least once or twice a year, I mean, that's and I say a year, I'm sorry I said that, but once or twice every 2 years, checking your electrical panels. I mean, in an MDP or a main distribution panel in a commercial building, we see a lot of times what we call is where the phase is hot, and that means that the phase is overloaded on one side, and that's where most of the power is being drawn from one phase, where the second and maybe third phase are not as bad. And sometimes that's got to do with the wire type, or maybe the wire's bad, or maybe it's just loaded up on one side, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of variations of what can cause that, and what you're speaking about is like unbalanced loads.
That's right.
And we typically see that happen all the time when we have existing structures, things that have been, buildings that have been in place for 10, 15, 20 years, where there has been alterations and, electrical work and
lights dimming.
Lights dimming.
It's funny that you said that, because most of the buildings, right, Brian, are probably in their 40s now. I mean, I down by the beach, I mean, they're in their 40s. So they weren't designed for the services that are built in the 40s, or I say 40s, but 40 years ago versus 2020. And we're talking about 1980, right? So if we had buildings in 1980 to 2020, we got a 40-year span.
Yeah,
most of those services weren't designed that way.
That's correct. Most of your appliances and fixtures that were pulling your amperage loads then are pulling a much greater in some instances now.
And they say it's efficient. How's that efficient? It ain't. People got now TVs, and back then the TV was probably in the kitchen. I mean, in the living room, right? It wasn't in the bedroom, in the bathrooms. I mean, everywhere.
I mean, just keep in mind, anyone who is in an older building, you had bedrooms who didn't have a fixture in the ceiling.
Yeah,
they didn't have a fan.
They just put a fan up now, right?
They just put a fan up now.
It's not a fan box.
Not a fan box. Nothing in the ceiling. So now larger AC units are being put in. Larger cooktops are being put in. Heat strips are being put in. Receptacles are being added. So the services are getting loaded.
In most cases, in some of those smaller units, they're 125 amps. I mean, maybe 150 amp service in the unit, and then they go and get a guy to sell them one of these tankless water heaters at Home Depot. So that right there is a scary thought for a lot of people. If you're in a high rise and you're thinking about buying a tankless water heater that's electric, I would think twice, because the service is going to have to be checked. But
I actually just had that happen. I went to an estimate. The contractor was gutting the whole unit. We went over the plans for the unit, and one of the things that it called for, because this is the way they had it designed out for aesthetics, was a tankless water heater. And so that's the first thing I did, was walked over there and looked. And of course, this is down Naples by the Bay Area. So I mean, these are older buildings, and there's no way it was going to handle the load. You're talking 2.5 baths, a washroom, a kitchen. I mean, there's no way that you're going to supply a tankless water heater and give enough power to that tankless water heater out of that existing panel box. And of course, you can upgrade it, but there's not going to be enough coming in that building. And so that's where, this guy was going to have to make a total decision on whether or not he's going to scrap that idea. He's already took up all his floor space, and he was going to use the size difference for the tankless, and he couldn't do that. So,
right?
Well, fortunately, he's the top floor, so his only option now is the attic space. He's going to have to put a small tanked heater, like a 30 or 38 gallon lowboy, to fit up there, because there's no other option.
I always cringe when somebody says they're going to put a water heater above the ceiling.
Oh,
That is not good. But when you don't design correctly,
Yeah.
and take into consideration your with a valid electrician who is knowledgeable, and that's key. I don't know if those went over with the whoever drew the plans prior to this, but if you don't have your subcontractors on board prior to designing this, then you are going to be running into setbacks left and right when you go through these options and realize, hey, we can't do this. We're going to have to change it. And then, if you get too far off, then you have to go through your plans all over again and resubmit them to the county, because they're not going to match up with your inspections, and then you have a whole nother can of worms. So
Yeah, I can tell you, we all know when permits get put into the county, their minimal amount of what they want to really put into the unit. I mean, they never really follow the directions of what the plan is, but they can go back and say, I want to put a revision in, but I've never seen that many times where a revision goes in on 100 recess cans in a unit. But it does happen, but I don't see it, right, Juan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you right now from a standpoint that it's very, very obvious that we like to kind of let the audience know to kind of check with the local electricians. I mean, we're here for you. We're telling you to give us a call at American Electric, right, Juan?
Yeah, give us a call at 239-353-4389. And I just want to say this, going back to what we were discussing earlier about, hiring contractors. One of the first things that you should be asking is, are you licensed and insured?
Yeah, that's an easy fix. I mean, just ask them that.
Just ask.
Most times, I will tell you again, they will say they're a licensed, but probably, Brian, tell them it's probably a driver's license, right?
Or it might even be that little license you can get at the go-kart track.
Oh, are those expensive?
12, $13.
I'd probably take that one first.
Yeah.
The driver's license, Gerald, is a little bit more expensive, isn't it? Yeah, I that part I can understand. But like I said, if you ask that person, I mean, if they have license and insurance, they should be able to come up with a CGC, a CBC, or a CRC. Those are contractors' names. CFC was a plumbing. I mean, EC is electrical. And if you have any questions, I would really love for you to email me at ac@theamericantrades.com. That's ac@theamericantrades.com. Brian, I wanted to go back to you guys because I know Gerald loves talking about thermal imaging and heating up things and maybe going to the dog track or racetrack. Where was you at with that card? Where'd you get that card from? 7-Eleven?
No, the Malibu up in Tampa.
Oh, it was like...
Yeah, the go-kart track up there.
It's a big one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna... You take me up there?
Oh, absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
Gerald.
In a go-kart?
Yeah. You're paying.
I'm gonna tell you straight.
High voltage.
I'll tell you all the audience. Me and Brian in a go-kart ain't gonna work.
You're going to be like Mario Brothers.
One would be on the trunk and one would be on the hood. So again, let's go back to you guys. I mean, I wanted to talk to you, Gerald. Go ahead. Yeah, we were talking about the thermal image, and then we talked about the tankless water heaters and power. But there's some other things you guys talked about last week, like mold. I mean, some of those things we talked about.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that too. We own another company. It's called B&K Water Extraction and Mold Services. We are a state licensed mold remediator. And so I do go out on the many calls. The two companies go hand in hand. We went to a unit the other day that had an issue, had a backup in the unit. It's the bottom floor of a multi-story building. And of course, when I get in there, wastewater has been flowing in this unit for who knows how long. The guy's out of town. He has a caretaker. who evidently, did not monitor the unit well enough. So the upstairs had been using their facilities, the laundry, the guest bath, everything, and it come out on this one side. And of course, so everything on that side, and that's what I'm submitting, a bid for them now for, is got to be cut out, removed, and remediated. Everything from the guest bathroom, guest bedroom, the guest closet, a laundry closet, a maintenance closet, a foyer. Their whole kitchen has to be gutted as well because of contaminated water that was steadily coming back into this unit. So I want to stress to people, please get a home watch, a reliable home watch for your unit if you're not going to be here full time. A lot of these things can be prevented by having that. This evidently happened over a period of time, and had this been a vigilant home watch service, maybe could have prevented that.
Gerald, really, it's nice with the home watch, but I know if I had a condo and I lived out of state, I would probably contact someone like American Contracting or American Electrical.
Yeah, we offer.
Because you have cameras that could actually spot and sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we
before
can
it becomes
offer.
an issue.
Yeah, I think most of the problems, from a standpoint of education on the homeowners, is that there are so many things that is connected to the Wi-Fi, right, Ryan? That's one of the things I was saying earlier, is that there's so many things that we can now monitor, like water, valves, electricity, right?
Yes.
So we can monitor those through an app now, where if a break in a line or a toilet had a leak, these sensors nowadays are just no different than an app for your songs and app for how to get to the internet, right? So it's really kind of...
I guess the best comparison you can do is, is an alarm system. When back in the day when you had an alarm in your home, you were relying on that to be notified, or the cops to be notified if someone broke into your home. It's the same concept, but the concept being for your AC, for your water, for your electrical. You tie your home into the system, an ecosystem, to monitor all of these things. So you can see the humidity inside your home. You can put leak sensors underneath your sinks, by your valves, by your toilet, to monitor if there is a leak. Electrical as well. You can see if the power goes out. All these systems can be tied together with cameras as well. That way you're able to monitor your home from a distance. If you just vacation in Florida and you need something like that, we can do something like that for you.
We install alarms.com.
Yes.
Alarms.com covers your lights, your thermostat, your garage door openers, your faucets. It covers your cameras. It covers everything. And the system is very minimal to put together versus what the old style systems used to be more expensive, right? The older systems used to be, expensive to buy and purchase and then have somebody install them. And I'm not talking about little money, but I'm talking now, just like Comcast has kind of turned it around and they're putting in automation systems. So we're doing it too.
Yeah, the beautiful thing with alarm.com that we provide is, we get these other manufacturers like Lutron. We are a Lutron dealer as well, and we can tie it into it.
Yeah, and you create your own scenes. If you're not home, if you're gone for months at a time, it would do things that would tell you to turn the lights on. So it could be scene productive.
And then we get with Prevent and, to say, hey, where are they going to be the key areas that we do need to put these water leak sensors, right? And water cops installed?
Yeah, these are all app driven. So, it's something that we work together with Brian on, and it's an easy fit for you. Again, I'm going to tell you that if you have a home watch and the guy comes every 3 days, I'm kind of being kind of hard, but if he came every 3 days, that's 3 days of water running if it did break. People don't recognize, that's one of the biggest things we see in mold, right? Water dripping. Next thing you know, guy says, I got a water spot on the ceiling. Doesn't know that his toilet is above there or somebody else's toilet, matter of fact, if you're in a condo. So it's important to make sure to keep an eye on everything from a water standpoint to electrical to even the cameras, some of the things that you want to see it. So I would definitely, in my opinion, give us a call. Gerald, what's the phone number over there, Prevent?
It's going to be 239-596-5533.
That's right. And Juan, what's the phone number at American Electrical?
Give us a call at 239-353-4389.
All right. Well, again, I would like to talk about a few other things that's coming up. But, Brian, you and I have been around for a long time. One of the things I talk about around this time of Christmas is the Veterans Day coming up. we had gotten together, Brian and Gerald and Juan and myself and even Johnny. We've come up with some things that we wanted to offer. Is that correct in saying, for these veterans out there? And one of the things is, we know Thanksgiving's coming up, right, guys?
That's it.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm concerned about is that the veterans out there may not be able to get something to eat. And one of the things I'm going to ask anybody out there that knows a veteran or needs some food, we're looking for you guys to give us an email. And I'm going to ask you for an email from ac@theamericantrades.com. That's ac@theamericantrades.com. Brian and I are going to put a little program together, and we're going to want you to email us. If you're a veteran, we're going to want to feed you for that veteran. So I want you guys to give us an email, and then once you email us, we're going to contact you so that we can get some food for you. And I'm going to say this again. This is important. If you're a veteran and you're homeless, you know a veteran that's homeless. If you know of somebody that won't be getting anything to eat on Veterans Day, I want somebody to give us a call at American Electrical at 239-353-4389. And I'm going to ask you to call Brian over at Privet Plumbing. What's that phone number, Gerald?
239-596-5533.
So let's go back to talking about mold. One of the things I've learned over the years from not only air conditioning, but I also took my own classes for moisture. And one of the things people don't recognize during the summertime, there is so much humidity in the air that the cold air actually makes the block in between the insulation and the drywall sweat. So if you look at your home and you see windows sweating in the morning, first things, I can tell you straight that there is definitely an insulation and maybe a mold problem on the block wall, just because windows create the most mold. I would say that if you took those thermal cameras and pointed over to them, you'd probably see a lot of water, right, Gerald?
That's correct.
And mold is the number one killer for people that with allergies and sinus problems. And those are some of the things you don't even have to have a water problem. I mean, I'm sure you call Brian or Gerald over there, they probably do a thermal imaging around the windows. They can do anything to see if you got water problems. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can do a full assessment to tell, if you're going to have any issues. And like you said, a lot of those times it is there, if there's no vapor barrier that's, on the block or anything that's going to prevent that block from creating moisture inside that wall, yes, it will. It will manifest microbial growth, and you will have an issue in your unit. There's other things that you would need to look for, and I give out these tips. A lot of people will have water leaks because of tile floors here in Florida. Everybody has tile floors, so it's not like wood floors or linoleum where you can recognize water saturation right away. So a lot of times, we have tile floors and they're sealed so excellently that the water will actually stay trapped up underneath the floor or in your wall, and you'll never notice it until it becomes a major issue. And so some of the things I want you to realize and recognize, if you have wood baseboard that is at the bottom of your wall and is caulked to the wall, and you start seeing lines where the baseboard is cracking and separating from the wall, 9 times out of 10, that is an indicator of a moisture present. And that is something you need to have further investigated to make sure that you don't have issues. Around your fixtures, such as tubs, toilets, if you have grout that is starting to darken and stain, those are usually indicators of water being present at some point. And a lot of times this happens to your toilet when your seal goes out, your wax seal that goes up underneath your toilet that keeps the water flowing into the pipe and not flowing out. Sometimes that will give way, and what happens is that water then seeps out and becomes trapped up underneath the tile. And the only way that you're really going to see it being present is either through dark staining of the grout around the toilet, or else if it spreads to the wall, then of course you will start to see it once it gets manifested to a certain point in water staining through wicking of the drywall or staining of the baseboard if you have wood baseboard, where at some point the microbial is going to shine on the outside versus just being trapped on the inside of the wall.
That's that black. I mean, a lot of times you see black mold coming straight through, not so much as the drywall, but even the wood. I mean, in renovations, I can tell you when I've taken baseboards off in bathrooms, and a lot of times, even sometimes on the bedrooms on the opposite side of those bathrooms, the baseboard is completely black, or even around the windows, like I said earlier. But one of the things I tell people is if you pull the baseboard off and you see black, then you got water probably badly damaging in there.
That is correct. And if you see paint bubble near the bottom, near the floor, on the baseboard or the drywall, if you see paint starting to bubble like it's trying to peel away or flake away, then that's a good indicator as well that you have moisture. And you're going to need to seek a professional to come in, do an inspection to ensure that you're not going to be running into any kind of microbial threats to the environment inside your home. Because even if it's manifested only in the wall, at some point you're going to have a breach where it's going to contaminate in the rest of the house. And of course, then your AC is going to pull it. And once you start cross-contaminating mold spores through your whole home, then it becomes a lot larger process to get rid of. And
Well, now it's in your ductwork too.
That is correct. So
I mean, that's a problem right there. I mean, that once it gets up into your ductwork, I mean, it's now going to be almost viral to go throughout the system. And this is what I was saying earlier about, I mean, mold is one of the number one things down here because we have allergies. I mean, that's the biggest thing down here. A lot of people are allergic to a lot of things, and mold is part of that, I'm sure.
yeah, and this climate is very conducive to mold, and you know, it can easily get away from you. A lot of people here have humidistats on their ACs. Those need to be monitored regularly because if you leave your home and you say, well, I'm just going to bump the AC up, and you bump it up to 78 and 80 degrees, but you have no humidistat, then 9 times out of 10, if something happens, you may develop too much humidity in your home, which can also manifest into a microbial issue.
Yeah, that's part of probably people leaving, right? When they leave, they put the temperature up to 80 degrees. The humidity factor is going to be incredible in that unit. And a lot of it may not be air-driven. It may be leak-driven. That's been over, right, Brian? I mean, it could be months. It could be years. You could have just a drop of water. If it was copper, I mean, a lot of things I've found is that when it's copper, I mean, it could have a small pinhole, and it'd just be dropping just water. I mean, right?
That is correct. I see it in AC drain lines a lot in the wall. And we actually had to remediate a unit that the AC drain line had been leaking in the wall for probably every bit of 2 to 3 years. And it did not notice it one day until the guy was actually in his laundry room and heard the drop inside the wall dripping. And when we tore open the wall, it had manifested so bad up and down that wall, it actually had rotted out the back side of his vanity, which was on the other side. And like I said, this is the process to where you would have never have seen it, and had he not heard it, it was never present.
One of the things you guys are talking about is mold, but most of the audience may not know also that's a home insurance problem, correct? I mean, if they have that problem, they should call you guys out, let you assess the problems, and then maybe call, right, Brian, the homeowner's insurance company and get somebody out there so that this could be covered under insurance, right?
Yes, and like I said, we can come in, we can do the remediation work to make sure that you're rid of any kind of microbial threats, and you know, get everything restored back to good. That way you have another, you know, a healthy, clean environment at your home, and you're not going to have to worry about any of these threats to your breathing or anything like that. And like I said, the key is staying vigilant on that. And that's why, you know, I'm giving you these tips today so that you can recognize anything that may be a water intrusion on your home.
So right there, I mean, Gerald gave you 10, 15 minutes of understanding about mold. I mean, those key spots are mold bubbling from the paint and black. I mean, go ahead and tell me a little bit more, a few things that you would see in a spotted drywall. I mean, the drywall obviously would be wet. It bubbles, right, Brian? What other things would you have? I mean,
soft baseboard, or if you have carpet that's next to the baseboard that starts to darken, usually that's a good indicator that, you know, that's an issue. If the baseboard starts separating from the wall, that's the introduction of water, and your water is starting to warp your baseboard and pull it away from the sheetrock. That's always a good indicator. So be vigilant, walk around your home, notice things, you know, in the corners and everything like that, where your carpet meets the baseboard. Notice to make sure the carpet's not darkened. Make sure your baseboard's not peeling off from the wall. Be vigilant in what you see around your home. If you have any questions, you can always give us a call at B&K Water Extraction and Mold at 239-398-9834. We can come out and do an inspection for you if you like.
Give me that number one more time.
239-398-9834.
And that company's name again is?
It's B&K Water Extraction and Mold Services.
So they don't have to fret. They can call Prevent.
That's right.
Gerald Prevent, that is.
Yeah, I always tell clients, if you smell something that's decaying or rotten smelling and you've ruled out your husband or wife, you've probably got either a leak or mold. Give us a
Boyfriend or
call.
girlfriend. Let's get that straight. It
Well, one of the-
have to be husband and wife. Come on.
One of the
Gotta be
thing-
boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah,
One of
could
the
be.
things I've
Boyfriend
seen.
and boyfriend.
Yeah.
Girlfriend.
Go ahead,
Boyfriend,
Juan.
girlfriend,
What-
boyfriend.
However you want it, you can have it. I mean, it's like Burger King.
Have your way.
Have it your way. I don't know about Brian, but
Whopper.
Brian's got his own ways.
So, Joe, I wanted to ask you because this is actually one thing that I ran across. We're doing some rewiring of some homes that have Chinese drywall. Well, they did not know that they were getting water seepage from the outside in of the dining room window because the plant bed just outside that window was so high that it was retaining all of that water, soaking right through that block.
Correct.
So that kind of made me think about what you said, as in walk around your home and see what you have going on. And I guess one of those things would be is look at your plant beds, because if they're really up high and you put all this topsoil, all this mulch, it's just retaining
It'll
all of
show
that water.
spots. It's funny that you say that because in the shower pan problem, right? In the shower pan, if you go on the bedroom side, you'll know that when somebody takes a shower, sometimes you can see that line from the shower pan where it goes. And it's the same way with the block wall, because you'll see the block wall has a grout line, or where they have that set the block, that's where that line comes in for water. It's amazing, but water is very tough to try to stop. Am I right in saying that?
It will find a way.
It will find a way to go wherever it wants to, and that's part of. That's part of some of the things we're trying to educate you out there on. Not only electrical extension cords and Christmas lights, but also, from a standpoint of water intrusion and mold and even sewer lines. Some people don't recognize that sewer lines can have a major crack underneath your slab, and you may not know it if you don't get it cambered, right, Brian? Yeah, I won myself. I had a home over in Fort Lauderdale, and it was cast iron. And black iron now, everybody's got a lawsuit for black iron. I'm not sure how that works, but my house was 1980, so I didn't get on that 1975 gig. But I can only say, mine collapsed. After we got everything flushed out, next thing you know, it collapsed right inside. So then we had to chip the concrete out, remember, and get down with the drain and break the pipe and get the pipe back in, put PVC on it. A lot of times we know in our trade, from an electrical standpoint, a lot of times we see fuses still, right?
Yeah, we still see Edison-based fuses in homes.
That's pretty scary when you got a screw in. Go down to Ace Hardware and buy a screw in fuse.
Yeah, I remember when I was 10 years old going to Winn-Dixie and buying fuses at 9 o'clock at night because the
Is that in
fuse
the
would
Home
blow.
Shopping Network? Or where was that at?
Well,
Winn-Dixie?
the Ace Hardware was closed at that time, so
it wasn't. It was just in the generic section.
Generic
Is
section?
that where they had the dog collars
Well,
and the dog food? And,
that was the biggest problem with the Edison-based fuses, that you can take a 15 amp circuit and plug in a 30 amp fuse.
you didn't have to plug it in. Let's get that straight.
Well, you just twist it in
You
there.
had to screw it in like a bulb.
Yep.
So I still to this day have seen so many houses. I've seen them in Bonita. I've seen them even down Port Royal at some points where a lot of fuses were on these panels. And if you have a fuse panel, I would suggest to call Juan over at American Electrical.
Yes. Give us a call. We'll go out there. We'll take a look. We'll assess it. Tell you what needs to be done to bring it up to code. Most importantly, to make it safe. We have to take into consideration what may have been safe, technically safe, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, may not be that now. And this is the reason why the code changes every couple of years.
It seems funny to say that, but 1980, right? When you say 1980, I know some of us standing here thinking, well, that wasn't that long ago. And then we have to think it was 40 years ago. And not to say it, but homes still in Naples were built in the 50s, right? In the 60s. That's when they were built. Even, down by the hospital downtown.
Most of old Naples is 50s and 60s.
50s and 60s. And I've been in those homes. I think people are still alive in them homes that when I say to them, you got a fused panel, and they look at me and go, so? It's still working. And that's probably a lot of people's mentality, right? I know that, I was listening to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about how they didn't have the money to do some of the repairs. And I could understand that because we talked a couple of weeks about financing things. And if you guys have some problems where you need to finance some stuff to get it repaired because you don't want to let it go. Not to say it, but we talked about a water heater being as simple as that. If you got a water heater leaking, most likely if you got a water heater leaking, unless you live in Golden Gate Estates and it's leaking out the front door, that means you probably got a water bill, right? I mean, leaking. So I would state that if you got a problem with a water heater, or anything to do with plumbing problems, a toilet problem, anything to do with faucets not working, you give Brian Prevett a call and Gerald a call. And if you have an opportunity where you need to be able to take out, a little bit of money and finance it, we have the opportunity to be able to finance it with you. And we're able to make the repairs right after that. And they will take care of you. We've used them before, and this is something that I would think if you don't have the money, give us a call, and then we can set you up with a finance company to get some of the repairs done. And over at American Electric One, we do the same thing.
Yes, we do offer financing, So if you have a project or you just a late night, issue, a Friday issue, we'll work with you, and we offer the financing. Give us a call at 239-353-4389, and we'll get you up and running.
Even generators. We finance generators. Not to say it, but it sees that if you notice out in California, the wildfires, there's no power out there. And that's part of probably half their problem. Not to say they'd want a fire with, electricity running around, but a lot of the power was shut off miles away from the fires, and these are the people that don't have power.
Well, that got me thinking, I guess electric cars is the big thing nowadays. So what happens, when you have a power outage?
Well, you could call Brian. He's got, don't fret.
Horse and carriage.
Horse and carriage.
Don't fret. Don't call Prevett on that one. If he's got no power, he's got nothing. What I would say, though, is that it is nowadays in Naples or in Southwest Florida. The power goes out all the time. That's part of, Naples, right? So one of the things I always tell people, if you have a well system and you live on the well, just remember, you don't have any water. If you have a septic tank with a lift station built into it, you don't have no plumbing. No plumbing is no bueno, right?
One of the two given things here in Florida is generator and surge protection.
Surge protection. That's right. I myself had to cut down 6 pine trees this week, right, Juan? Oh, yeah. Not me myself, but I put Brian on a tree and he went
like 5-foot pine trees.
They were
Were there saplings?
They were just planted. They were planted a couple of days ago, but we had to take 5 pine trees down because of lightning. And that I got to tell you, the lightning goes out in Golden Gate Estates like it's water. So it's one of the things that I tell people is, it seems like it's an expensive, task to get a generator, and I'll tell you, I'm the first person to tell you it is. We do set up portable generators. I would suggest to do a lockout kit, right, Juan?
You can do a lockout kit, but most importantly is we can give you a solution for battery backup. That's one thing we can do. We'll come out, we'll look at your setup, and we can provide a battery backup, for your office.
Yeah, generators, one of the things I tell people, it's an expensive, and I know it's an expensive, thing to buy for something that your house, it's almost as much as a car, right, Juan?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
One of the things I myself had to wait probably 20 years to purchase was a generator, and now my wife's happy, but, I probably should have done it 20 years ago. Should have gave up a horse, maybe. Gerald, I just wanted to kind of go back and say that, on Veterans Day, it's an important thing for all of us to understand that the veterans that sacrifice for this country, and some of the people out there sometimes don't even. I seen Gene today, and it was funny because I had to say to, hey, Gene, on Veterans Day, Monday, I'm going to take you to lunch so that we can go eat. And he said, what for? And I said, well, I want to take you to lunch. And he looked at me, he goes, well, Marines don't eat lunch, and I don't want no lunch. But he was joking. So he's happy that I'm going to take him out to lunch on Veterans Day. So it's an important thing for any of you out there in the audience. You have the opportunity to give a veteran something to eat for Monday, or actually give a veteran anything to eat. That's why we're actually running our email out there so that Brian and I can get out there and feed some of you guys that are veterans, right, Gerald?
Yeah, so email us in, ac@theamericantrades.com. If you yourself are a veteran or you know a veteran who deserves a meal, please email us in. We're going to take all those names, we're going to compile them together, and then we're going to pick random ones, and we're going to send those people a shout out, let them know that they've won. So when you send it in, send in their name, the branch of service they served in, and the length of service they served. And that way that when we do call out their name, we can we can recognize and we can get a hold of them. So send their phone number and we can recognize their service and we can let them know how proud we are for what they've done for this country. And so if, like I said, if you yourself or you know a veteran, please email it at ac@theamericantrades.com.
Yes, definitely. We want to take care of our veterans out there. You know, this show's about that. Veterans, small businesses, contractors. We want to show the love for the people who make the sacrifice for us every day, and those that we will never forget who made the ultimate sacrifice.
That's right. That's an important part for all of us. I mean, I find it dear to my heart about the veterans. I'm sure all of my guys on the panel here are all about veterans. And we also wanted to put something out there on Facebook also. So if you guys wanted to talk about, right?
Oh, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a giveaway. We like to do this from time to time. Prevent Plumbing, if you go to our Facebook, coming soon, we will be giving away a faucet. That's a free kitchen faucet, single lever pull out. And if you're in the Naples area, that's free installation. So that's, like I said, we're going to do a drawing. All you have to do is once this post comes up on there, you have to click like and share. And when you share that post, you're entered into the drawing for the free faucet giveaway. Like I said, not only are we going to give it away, but if you live in the Naples area, we will come install it for you for free. So like I said, coming soon on Facebook, please look for that at Prevent Plumbing on Facebook.
Say that one more time, Gerald.
That's Prevent Plumbing on Facebook.
Don't fret.
Call Prevent.
What's that phone number?
239-596-5533. And I think our buddy Juan over there at American Electrical, he's going to be giving away some free stuff because everybody loves free stuff.
Yeah, everybody loves free stuff. And I'm going to match what Gerald is giving away there is, if you go over to our page, our Facebook page, American Electrical Services of Florida, hit our like, share button, and we'll be choosing a random
audience or guest, right?
A random guest, random audience.
Anybody out there that's going to like our page and like Brian's page, I mean, you got the opportunity to get a free faucet, right?
Free faucet.
I heard you say Collier County, but I guess we could go to Lee County too, right? That's mostly where we're at, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do Lee County, Collier County as well. But what you're going to get from American Electrical is we're going to automate your home. We're going to give you a Lutron Caseta starter kit. That's going to include the smart bridge, a dimmer, and a Pico to get you up and running to automate your home. Wow. That's a $99 value.
Who authorized that, Brian?
I'm giving everything away. As long as it's American.
Just don't give your shoes away, all right?
So, Brian and Gerald, I wanted to kind of end the show. I mean, you guys had a good thing for the Facebook. You want people to like your page and share your page. That's understandable. And they get the opportunity to get a faucet. And same with American Electrical. I these things that we're offering, go to the page, website page, and actually Facebook and like us and share us. I mean, I'm asking you guys to email me if you need free dinner and you're a veteran at ac@theamericantrades.com. That's ac@theamericantrades.com. Fellas, last minute, anything for you?
Yeah, I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who has served in this country, whether it be for the armed forces, whether it be for firefighters, policemen, first responders, for EMT, anybody. I want to give everybody, not just the veterans, because they need all the gratitude because they really do put themselves in harm's way, but also for our first responders of any kind. I want to give a big thank you.
Same here. I want to thank you, first responders and military as well, but also our teachers. It's not easy being a teacher out there.
Especially not these days.
Not these days. But if you need any electrical work done or any questions, just give us a call at 239-353-4389.
And our number over here, Prevent, is 239-596-5533.
Don't fret.
Call Prevent.
All right. Well, listen, fellas, we're going to close up the show. I want to give a shout out to all the people out there that are veterans myself. As a veteran, I care for all the people out there that have protected this country and sacrificed this country. And I want to thank all my panels and my guests. I mean, I love you guys. I mean, you're like my brother, except Brian sometimes wants to eat my sandwich. That's okay.
A little more than brother.
A little more. I'll get peanut butter and jelly. But I also want to thank my wife and my daughter for getting married on Saturday. I'm congratulating my daughter, Monique, and Logan. They are going to be something special for me. So I want to thank everybody out there. And also I had to give one shout out. You guys okay for me to give a shout out? All right. Sweet Southern Horse and Carriage. Sweet Southern Horse and Carriage. Brian, that's not someplace you're going to eat.
I'm like, whoa.
This is not a place to go
All
eat.
you can eat, I'm going.
But I can tell you that Tiffany over there helped me out immensely. So I want to thank you, Tiffany, out there, and I want to thank everybody out there in my audience. And don't forget to call in and send us an email. I really, really want to hear from you. My cell phone, let me give you my cell phone because I haven't given my cell phone out the whole time, right? 239-825-1261. Anything you guys need out there, give us a call and drop us a Facebook page and an email. I'm looking for that. So again, I want to thank everybody. God bless America. And thank you for listening to The American Tradesman. I'm Anthony, and we are The American Tradesman. Semper Fi.
Hoorah!